Oh, thank you, whoever went through and did that. And it is 11:30. And I am so glad everybody has joined us this morning. I'm thinking others will join as we move forward. And uh, kind of a heavy topic in some way today about life and death. And we're going to go through and explore the latter a bit. And we have Renee Hodnett with us. And through the NPR station here, I got to be acquainted with her ads as or her promotions as an end-of-life doula. So Renee, I am going to turn it over to you. I'm going to turn off my video. My dog has decided to eat a candle. I'll be right back in just a second. And just share, and I'm sure we'll have questions. And do you want questions as we go, Renee? Is that better for you? Which is better, or at the end?
I guess as we go, in true teacher fashion, we'll just do it like a classroom.
Sounds great. Well, again, welcome to everybody. And Renee, thank you for being our speaker today.
Thank you, Karen, for inviting me to come here. Hello, retired teachers. Thank you for your service. I know the commitment and emotional offering that is teaching is extremely hard work. I grew up the daughter of two teachers who are retired and saw the toll, ultimately the toll it takes on your life. So thank you for your service. I watched them through my childhood and subsequently chose a different direction. It's been a winding road, my life, and through many stages, I have come to long to help people understand the dying process and go through it with companionship or with confidence to know that you can help. And it is totally within our nature, and we know how to do all these things naturally. This is just how we're built, how we're wired as humans. There is this thing that we all do, and we all die. So if everybody is doing it, it can't be all that bad, right? And if we think about it this way, we can see that death is sort of like our final assignment. And that is hopefully makes it less scary. It is, I think people mostly fear like suffering and the unknown when it comes to thinking about their own ending. And I would like to empower you today to know that it's not unknown. We see it every day. We have choices in the matter. We can choose the sequence of events to accompany the ultimate sequence of events. So in recent generations, dying has been moved to hospitals and away from the family bed. Throughout millennia, we have simply cared for our elders or our sick people and kept them comfortable and accompanied them as they went through their last journey. And that is something that has shifted away from the home for convenience. For some people make a lot of money from it. But it is something that is not scary. It is peaceful. Our bodies know how to do this, just like our bodies know how to be born. And it is not, dying is not a medical process. Yes, we are born to die. And I personally look at it as a mystery But when I get to it, I will get to know the big secret that all the people that have passed before me already know. So what I'd like to offer to you today is the idea that there are choices that we can make. There is, with this outsourcing of our dying people to the hospitals, there is just this flow that happens there. That is, the goal is to keep people alive. And while that is absolutely appropriate in many cases, it doesn't stop when people are coming to the end. They will not stop until we tell them to. So it is up to us to steer the boat if need be. I'm certainly not going to tell a cardiac surgeon how to give me a bypass, but I can tell a doctor when to stop, when I'm ready. And so I've done ultrasound for 15 years and came to realize that I was not scared of people who were dying. I saw people having tests that they didn't need to have because, you know, you have a test, you have information. What will you do with that information? If, you know, my mom is like 95 years old, does she need to still be DNR? I would prefer personally for myself when I'm 95 to not have CPR and to not, I just want to go. I feel like I'm getting scattered. I'm really in awe of teachers. I think you guys are great. You do this all the time.
So Renee, why did you choose to engage in this work? Like, what, I guess is what I want to ask.
Well, so my neighbor back in 2012 had a long bout with cancer, and I watched him fight the cancer and not do well against it. It was brutal. And then I watched him fight against going on hospice because he thought it was a admission of I don't know, failure. Like, he was just a like proud working guy, and he thought it just meant that he was giving up. And then when hospice came, it was such a relief to him. And while doula work is in tandem with hospice, I saw the power of comfort at the end. And I saw his partner shower him with love and affection like they were still young dating. It was just amazing. She was flirting with him until the end. I just saw that death was not something to be scared of. That same year, my dad died, but he died quickly. And so he never had to do that, but he had everything planned out. He was DNR. He had all of his funeral arrangements made, all of that. And that was such a comfort to us. We did not have to think at all. And then my aunt got sick, and I watched my cousin just care for her in the most loving way. And when she said she was tired of fighting, we shifted gears. I just watched. My cousin shifted gears, and we moved to comfort and peace and just ideas of like closure for her. And so as an end-of-life doula, we are taught to help people tie up the loose ends in their life. And if there are any regrets, tease them out in conversation, or if they're at forefront in the mind, just go ahead and address them. Do you need to write a letter? Do you need to make a phone call? Do you need to make a donation? What is the action that will bring peace? And then making decisions about what medical actions you want or don't want taken. Do you want to be DNR, which is a good choice when you're on your way to dying, because CPR is so violent. Having seen it a few times in real life and having seen it on frail people, I have made the decision that I'm not interested. And but everybody makes decisions for themselves. And there are other life-saving methods that can be done without CPR. The choices regarding this segment of our life are really totally customizable and totally they're so vast. We can decide to be on hospice or not. We can decide palliative care or not. And palliative care and hospice can work together, but you don't have to be on hospice to be in palliative care. There are the flow of hospital to keep people alive involves testing, testing all the time, vitals all the time. But if that information isn't necessary, could we just opt out? Yes, you can. You always can. We as patients or advocates can always say no to testing or procedures. Sometimes I've seen people in hospital, their parents or loved one goes through surgery and then they're not back to normal, but they had the surgery in hopes of being normal, but they didn't understand that that really wasn't an option. So asking lots and lots of questions about what will it be like after that can help make a decision. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Do you want to go through all that and the recovery if perhaps just hanging out with your family and enjoying time is better? It's all up to us. And then feeding tubes and intubation, if those are initiated, they have to be discontinued. So those are big choices. And so as an end-of-life doula, I feel I need to walk the walk. So I have an advance directive and I have a will. And within my advance directive, I even address things like if I need memory care, if I don't know who people are, if I'm at a place where my quality of life is below the threshold that I'm comfortable with, which I think is kind of high. If I get an infection, just let me go. And that is, I can change that at any time. I am 51 years old. I do not feel that I'm that close to needing to make these decisions. So if I get closer and want to change, I can always change. This is always changeable. In the state of Georgia, we can write these things down. Have two witnesses that are not part of the equation, and it is a legal document. So you can do your will that way. You can, the advance directive, you can just register it at your hospital. Speaking of advance directives, there's a tool that I just love. It's called 5 Wishes. It is just this little bitty pamphlet, and it allows us to have conversation about these topics in a very conversational and non-threatening way, because ultimately this is to maximize the joy in our life, right? We want to help the people we love. We want to have peace for ourselves. And this particular tool is helpful. So the 5 wishes are, the first wish is the person that I want to make decisions for me when I can't. So that's your advocate. The second is, what kind of medical treatment do I want or not want? And the third one is, how comfortable do I want to be? And 4 is, how I want people to treat me. And 5 is, what I want my loved ones to know. This tool is just easy peasy kind of check boxes that start conversation. It is, there is a website called 5wishes.org, and you can order these. So you can order one for like $5. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can also order like 25 for $5 for a very small amount. So I would encourage everyone to go to this website, check it out, order some of these and pass them out. I am the friend that will talk about death in my circles, and I am so okay with that. I don't want to be scared of this. I want to face it informed. I don't want to just go with the flow in our seemingly depersonalized last days in our society now. Everybody's so busy, have the hospital do it for us. I personally don't want to be in a long-term care. There are lots of options. Again, I'm not facing those decisions right now. All this might change. I might change completely 180. Never know. But so
Yeah, I just put the link in there to the 5 Wishes document and did a little playing. If you order 25 of the booklets, it becomes $25 total, or $1 a booklet. So
that's the deal. Thank you. So there is also, I just watched a TED Talk by this fabulous doctor who just discusses just the kind of the physicalities of passing away. It's basically the opposite of being born. We start breathing, we start moving, and we start thinking. And as we're winding down towards the end, we stop moving around as much, and then we start sleeping a lot. And the sleeping that happens towards the end of life is this, it's almost like we're touring our next apartment. We sleep so deeply, it is bordering on unconsciousness, and it's just super peaceful, and it happens for longer and longer stretches. And this is just how we phase out, phase in. So also there's this organization called deathcafe.org. It is it's pretty fantastic. This fellow in London started this because he was interested in talking about death. So without stigma, without judgment, without agenda. So he started these events called death cafes, and they were, just people sitting around drinking coffee and tea, talking about death with no agenda, and eating cake. And pretty much that is because it doesn't need to be serious. People have all manner of questions. People want to know serious things. People want to just ask questions like, have you seen it before? Some people are just curious. Some people have personal reasons, like they're about to be facing death sometimes. So these are now on Zoom a lot. This person, Nathalie Bonifay, she really hosts a nicely curated meeting. There's a variety of people that go to it. It's on Zoom. It's totally non-threatening. You don't even have to have your camera on. You don't have to speak. It's the last Tuesday of every month, so it just happened yesterday. So the last Tuesday of February will be the next one. It is just people discussing what's on their mind, and it's a totally natural flow. and it's not morbid. There are all sorts of, I've seen it take all different tacks, and she's a lovely human. So let's see. There is a book I'm reading right now called That Good Night, about a doctor who moved into palliative care, and it's about her journey into such, and it is lovely so far. But are there any other questions right now?
So is palliative care, can you give me a quick definition of palliative?
Sure. It is just a wonderful branch. It is simply maintaining pain control and comfort. So it is not a curative. It is just dealing with symptoms and pain management. It's not the same as hospice, but often people are led to it through hospice. But it just helps people relax and, not be in pain and enjoy their time without procedures and whatnot. So it's just to help people have a peaceful time towards their end. It doesn't necessarily, it's not limited to a time. If you just have bad pain in life, there's pain management, but this is a more of a peaceful treatment, just with medications. And again, I don't think there's a time limit on that, but those doctors are everywhere now. I think it was an emerging department for a while, and now it's everywhere, which is great.
But isn't hospice, the focus of hospice also on pain management? Or what's the thread of difference?
Hospice is more focusing on the end, our end stages. So often hospice is at the end of a terminal illness, and the nurses are so amazing and in tune with the needs of the patient. The hospice does deal with comfort, but also deals with needs like personal needs in your home, or it can be in the hospital. So there is nursing involved. Nursing care is part of that, but the palliative is more like going for a doctor visit and, maintaining a rapport and plan with them.
I always tend to have questions, and I hope other people will chime in also.
Yes, please.
So being an end-of-life doula, to me, is an area that hasn't existed for decades or anything like that. This is a kind of a new field. Is that correct, Renee?
Yes. So hospice started in the 60s and at first was considered hippy dippy and all that, but has since become recognized and regulated, and it is part of Medicare and some insurance. So it has become less personalized, not because of the nurses and their care, but more because their schedules demand that they move around and see lots of people, and they have smaller amounts of time. So that has been since about the 60s, and now it is ubiquitous pretty much. And so end-of-life doula is sort of developing as a companion to hospice, because the doula almost like hospice began with this sort of built into it, and that it has sort of shifted away from the time element with the patient. So end of life doula can come in and assist with the emotional needs. And we, as doulas, do not administer medication. We don't do like patient care. I mean, certainly in an emergency, I'm going to help a person that needs assistance with being clean, but it's not really in the, you know, the format of it, but ultimately it's just what the patient needs. But legally, again, no medicine. But there are people that want to regulate it and make it, there are certifications. I definitely took an educational course, but there are a lot of people that believe that if we do that with the end of life doula, it'll go the same as hospice, and it will become less personalized and more of time demands, and so people won't get everything that they need. So people are of the belief, end of life doulas, many are of the belief that that is not really the way we want to go. We want to keep it more personal and more of a relationship than kind of a business deal. So.
Thank you. What other questions do folks have?
Does everybody have an advance directive? They're not scary. There's 5 wishes. You can get that and do that. You have one, Karen?
Yes.
Oh,
Couple
great.
people are
Yes, I
signaling.
see some thumbs. That's great. Yes,
The same as a living.
Yes, advanced directive living will. It is. It's not scary. So I often talk with people, you know, it's really sort of hard to put your finger on what you want in these cases because it seems so open. You know, it's like hard to know what's going to happen. So how do you know what you want? But it's really easy to think, what do I not want? I know that I don't want a feeding tube, for example. I know that I don't, I mean, even through COVID and whatnot, I told my mom, I was like, I don't think I want to be intubated if I need it. I've seen the recovery, I've seen in the hospital, I've seen how that played out, and I just wasn't interested. And then my mom, she's 80, and she said, well, I want everything. And I'm like, okay, that's your choice. And so me as her daughter would respect that. Me as her end of life doula that she has not hired. I mean, not that she would need to pay me, but you know what I mean. We're not there right now. I would respect what she wants. That is my job as an end of life doula, is to join you in your world and join you in your desires. My spiritual inclinations have zero to do with my working with you. As an end of life doula, I will respect and support all of your spiritual decisions. It is not the time for someone to minister to someone. You know, it is a time to just respect a person as they are and help them come to peace. That's one of the hardest things as an end of life doula, is that everybody doesn't come to peace. And my job is to just be there in their discomfort. That is the hardest. But a person might have regrets in life. They might have loose ends they want to tie up. They might feel that they'll be forgotten. And a way to combat that is to do legacy work. And that would be, you know, writing letters to the grandchildren for their 18th birthday or whatever, or writing your story, or recording old family history that people might have forgotten. There are so many, doing art with family, There's also, there are no rules here. You can have, you can even have a living funeral. You can have a party where people say all those nice things that they say at funerals while you're still around. I personally am a fan of that. I think that would be great. I've even heard somebody say, all those things we say about our friends when they die, we should say that at their birthdays. And I just love that idea, because ultimately our lives are about connection, love, and sharing our joy, sharing our pain. And I just think that, and this is certainly middle-aged Renee, 20-year-old Renee didn't think about any of this stuff. But she also would not have been able to be an end-of-life doula, because I hadn't experienced any deaths. I hadn't experienced any illnesses in my family. Some people get introduced to that stuff really young. And in not too long ago in our past, the children in those homes where Granny was just winding down in the bed and, she didn't want to eat. No, thank you. I don't want any water. And she just withered away, and then she died. So those children saw Granny get old, saw Granny wither. Then they had home funerals, so they saw Granny not be there. So those children then knew exactly what to do when it was their turn to care for the elder, because they'd seen it. They'd seen Mama do it. And this is true across the world. And now we shelter children from the funerals even. We shelter children from the hospitals. And so we're so disconnected. And these I really feel, and this is not an original idea to me, it was pointed out to me, and it makes so much sense. When the funerals happen in the home, you get adjusted to the fact that they're not in that body anymore. And so it's like the grieving really happens acutely, because you can just see that they're not there. When we're so far removed from the dying process, the winding down, the funeral, the body without the person in it, it's just like they're gone. And you didn't have any sort of slow adjustment period. And so our grief, it can be easily put away and not dealt with, and it really affects us long term. I think being disconnected from this process is not helping us as people. So there are lots of options to be connected with all that. Any more questions?
So, who hires you? Meaning, does the person who's knows that he, she, they are passing hire you? Could a family member, a family hire you? And then kind of coupled with all that is, for whom do you work? To whom is your allegiance? So
Yeah.
I think that's my question.
So anyone in the process can hire me. I have been contacted by people who were themselves sick and dying. And I have been contacted by people who are not close to dying, but they wanted to touch base with me. So when it happens, we've already got a relationship, and it was a couple, and we hung out and had tea and just talked. And so when they need that, I'm already sort of plugged in and I can just jump in. And I have been hired by children of elderly parents who just, the parent wasn't really, they just knew that I was a kind, helpful person around. They weren't at a place where they were, told all the details about what I was doing. I was just there to be comforting. And, and then, so it can be anyone. obviously the person that I'm helping, if they don't want me there, I'm going to go. You know, there's no pressure. This is only about helping. As far as allegiance, it's to the person that is dying, in that I will protect their space. Like if people are talking about money in the room with them, and because they're, you know, unconscious, people can hear when they're unconscious. They are there even though they don't seem to be there. I feel this way in the hospital too. When I'm doing a study on a patient that is unconscious, I still say, hey, I'm Renee, I'm going to touch your leg now, I'm not going to hurt you. And so if conversations that are inappropriate are happening in a space, I will gently escort the people to a farther away space to have their conversation. I'm not going to tell them what to talk about, but I'm going to say, not here. And I will protect the space, make it as comfortable as possible. If I can minimize machine noises, just maximize the peace, that is my job. So that said, I am also there to comfort the family. I'm also there to make sure they know that they're not alone. So I'm there for everybody, but I will protect the person who cannot protect themselves first and foremost. But yeah, anybody can call me. And I have people call me that just, you know, I told you I'm the friend that talks about death. So I have friends that just call me to talk about it. I have friends that call me and say, my sister is dying in this terrible situation. She's out in this other state. I'm going to go out there. What am I walking into here? Can I talk to you about it? I'm scared. You know, that's I feel honored to be involved in those conversations and to help people. And I've had people call me from people that I don't know and just talk about stuff and their fears and their feelings, and they don't know me. I don't know them. I haven't met them yet. But if I can walk them through a little conversation and send them in a direction to find more information, or maybe meet with them later, I don't know. I just want to help people not be scared, because we all do this. There's really no reason to be scared.
Do you know if this service is available in all the hospitals or areas? How, you know?
It is growing. It's really, truly, so I live in Athens, Georgia, and I got certified and thought, ooh, this is my new world, you know, this is what I will shift gears into. I've been led, here I am, this is a calling. And I got my training, I had some experiences, and then I learned that it's really more available in metropolitan areas. And this was in 2018, I think. And I found that people in Athens, Georgia are not really open to this. People, and I guess this might be like a South thing, it might be a country thing. People are more connected to that idea that Granny is slowing down at the house. We're all caring for Granny. It's like everybody seems still connected in some ways. Different cultures are more connected with that. So people have not been, I didn't fully change gears in career, let's just say that. And I figured that if I'm just available for, you know, I do have clients, but more it's personal. It's like my family and my friends and their families. So it is becoming more available. It is becoming more understood. It is not typically connected with a hospital. It is sometimes connected with a hospice, but I have volunteered at the hospital to go sit with people that were alone and they were dying, or people that had just come into the ER and then found out that they were, you're going to die in 4 days, and that happens. And those people are still not familiar with this idea, and so it's not something that they were interested in. And I was, obviously not asking for money. I just wanted to be helpful. And some people still are just not comfortable, not interested, and that is perhaps because they were so shocked by their situation, and they're social workers and all in clergy in the hospital, and often people just want that at that time because it's all happening so fast. But it is, like I said, it's not regulated, so it's not really recognized by insurance or Medicare. And while some people think it should be, some people also think that it's better if it's not, because it can still just be this natural form that it is, which is just accompaniment and companionship and advocacy as it happens.
So if one wanted to find out if the services were available in their area, contact a hospice first or Google it?
I would just Google, yes. And there are directories out there. The all-powerful Google certainly will send you in the right direction. There is a International End-of-Life Doula Association in Elda is where I trained. They are an international body. They have directories. There are national end-of-life doula associations. There are just independent people, which is what I am. Yeah, Google and talking, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am.
Okay, you mentioned it's very more so prominent in the Charleston region of the country. And given the fact that a lot of African Americans live in the Charleston area, Gullah Geechee people, people from the West Indies, Haitians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How much do you play in the ritual part or aspects of dying? Because those people, there are certain rituals that have been passed down from years and years and years that we are, as Black Americans, are not familiar with it. You hear tales about it.
Right. Right.
You experience, not experience, well, I say experience, certain things like, I went to a friend's funeral over on Hilton Head, and one of the rituals was they passed the last living descendant or the baby across the grave of that dying person. And I guess that's my question. How much do you, what role do you play in rituals as far as customs they are used to?
Oh, thank you, Ms. Brenda. So I didn't say Charleston area. I said metropolitan areas, but I love your question. So the societies that are so steeped in tradition are, that is all gorgeous to me. I don't think that I would be super necessary in a situation like that because they're so in tune with their traditions and their ways. I would be honored to participate in any and all of their traditions. That is one of the things that I do as an end-of-life doula, is I step into your belief system. I step into your ways. I am not going to judge. I'm not going to direct. I'm not going to, I mean, unless I'm asked. I mean, I can obviously direct people if they want to know something else. But as far as belief systems and traditions, it's my job to support them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you considered as a nonprofit 501c3, or are you a volunteer?
That's a great question. I do volunteer, but I am just a business. I'm not nonprofit. There are nonprofit, like there's a place called, it's in Chattanooga, and it is a hospice house for homeless people. Gosh, it's beautiful. Everybody there is a volunteer. People that don't have homes and that are terminal, they come and they live there, and they're supported through their peaceful ending. And it's wonderful. So there's all manner of options for that. But me, I'm just I guess, sole proprietor. But I'll be honest, the money part is the hardest part. I don't, it's hard to take money and bill for things that I just feel like are part of the human condition. So that is something that I've had to work on, getting compensation. So often I just do volunteer around here at this time, but I have also been paid very well. So it's all customizable.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So have you witnessed what you would call a peaceful death, a beautiful death? And then
Yeah.
have you witnessed on the other end where people are not at peace?
Yes. So my first assignment client was this, it was just an amazing situation where I went to, it was a little more than just an end of life doula thing, but this was my first experience with it. And so I was moved to Costa Rica to live with a family who had brought their 100-year-old mom to live with them. So she didn't have to be cold in the air conditioning, and she could be with her daughter. And it was wonderful because they were so connected. And so she had 0 disease processes. She was completely healthy. She was just 100. And so I watched in 6 months her just slow and die. And the daughter and me touched base multiple times every week about, you know, okay, if things happen, we are of the mind that we are just going with it. We're not going to call anyone. We're just going to, she's a nurse and I'm hospital. So we just checked in and we were like, okay, so if it happens, we're good, right? We're good. We're on the same page. And I was like, yes, we are on the same page. And eventually she got a little pneumonia and we didn't treat it with antibiotics. And she died in her sleep. And it was, as it happened towards the end, she just withdrew. This is what we do. We just sort of, the outside doesn't matter. We sort of withdraw. We don't sort of, we do withdraw, and it's just about us and the person with us. And then it's just about us, and we sleep more. And then we slow and go. And it was amazing to be a part of this ending that was just so perfect in that she wasn't sick. Now, the pneumonia, had she been in the hospital here, they would have treated the pneumonia. I mean, unless they said don't, which I have, you know, ideas in my mind that when I'm old. So historically in medicine, UTI is considered an old woman's friend in that women get UTIs a lot and they can take over, then we just become infected, septic, and we die. That's called the old woman's friend because something has to do it, right? And pneumonia is considered the old man's friend because that's just what typically happened with old men long ago before we were all hospitalized. And so I just got to see that, you know, something has to do it. I mean, unless we just stop. And that happens too. That's what happened to my dad. He just stopped one day and he was perfectly healthy. It was just his day. So we just never know. One of the things that end of life doula work has brought me to is this idea of living well so I can die well. Live well now, die well later. I live now in a way that if I don't see my friends again, they know I love them. If I don't see my mom again, she knows I love her. I don't have any regrets. I had, you know, as a younger person, I did silly things. I have made amends and straightened everything up to a place where I'm comfortable. So I know that if I do die today, it's okay. And I don't feel like, I mean, I even feel like if I am forgotten, it'll be okay because I do not have children. So there is no one to sort of do that. And it's just okay. There's like 8 billion of us here. And if we all just live well, treat each other well, we can go in peace. And I think that that is the most empowering thing that I have gleaned from this process of learning this end of life doula work is just that it's all about living. Dying is all about how we live, and we can make choices.
Any other questions?
Your doggy has one.
Yeah, he's talking in the background. Renee, will you put your contact information in the chat in case someone wants to reach out one-on-one? And I thought the last part about living in preparation for dying, it resonated with me in terms of I'm glad I'm going to lunch with a friend today. So Brenda, are you unmuted or you have a question?
I'm going to work this phone to ask to see if I'm unmuted. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Brenda, you have muted again if you intend to ask a question.
All right, let me unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my question is this. With your experience of watching people take their last breath, or so to say, how can you distinguish between when a person is at peace or when a person has turmoil before they go?
I mean, ultimately, I don't know.
Okay.
But because, you know, people can try and hide things, but a lot of times it just shows right here. You know how you can tell when people are, well, agitated, and there are things that happen as we're dying that are across the board sort of not understood, but happen all the time. Like people will see people that have passed before them. People will talk to people. A lot of times those conversations will be, you know, joyful or not. You know, you can kind of tell where a person is, you know, just like just like when you're talking with people you know or don't know, you can read them. It's just the same. But there are stories that I've heard where people were talking to people long past before them that they didn't even know, and they have learned like family stories through these people that visited. It's just, it gives me chills even now thinking about it. It's really cool. Ms. Linda?
Linda,
Yeah,
you're
I
muted.
was,
Okay.
yeah, I was blessed to be there when my mom died. And I was prepared, but you're never really prepared. But I knew that the mother that raised me was no longer there. You know, her body was, her mind, because she had a dementia. And she died at 93. She stopped recognizing me at 90.
That's
So
hard.
I had a chance to say, you know, I know that's my mama over there, but the times we used to have together was no longer the way it used to be. So I had time to develop my spirit for her leaving this earth, but never leaving me. And it's a big difference. But my thing is how important it is to develop these relationships so that there is no guilt. You know, I thanked her for the way she raised me, probably when she didn't understand who I was or what I was saying. So cleansing your spirit is will be a big help in even recognizing your capability of how to help afterwards. We had prepared it because I had older sisters that had, you know, straightened out the business part of it. But it's the acceptance that lingered longer than watching her go. Because what was funny, she had a pacemaker, and the hospice nurse would come and she told us, she said, well, call the other sisters in because everybody had gathered at the house. And she pronounced her heart had stopped. And then after, you know, we had, you know, said our goodbye, she called us back. She said, wait, I might have been wrong. And see, my family has this dry sense of humor and we laughed about it. But then the hospice nurse had to say, oh, I forgot the pacemaker. So she had really gone when she initially said she was gone. But it's that living after that stuck with me more than anything else. So, you know, if you know people that like myself, I need to get my house in order. You know, I'm one of those. And it's just, it makes it, if you care about the people who are left behind, you'll handle your business now, which is what's gnawing away at me. So I've got to take time and do that. But it could be a precious moment that she's at rest, you know, and no more done with the troubles of this world, you know, and you understand what it means to say, you know, she's in a better place, you know. So I'm good with that. And I really appreciate this lunch bunch today. And thank you for everything.
Linda, thank you for sharing. And Renee, thank you so much for being here. I'm mindful at the end, we're almost at the end of the hour. And before we depart, I do want to just share some things that GAE-Retired members should know. You should have received your In the Know magazine this morning. And today is the deadline. If you haven't nominated, you can nominate yourself for the Spring Representative Assembly. So please do that. There's an online link. You don't have to send in the paper form. Today also, if you wanted to be a delegate, retired delegate to the NEARA, the deadline is today. We've done the lunch bunch, Read for Ed today, Facebook Live this evening with Lisa Morgan, GAE president, through her Facebook page. Tony Smith will be presenting at the Time to Thrive conference in Atlanta. If you want to be one of the Georgia attendees and not pay the registration fee, then there is a link here. Let Lisa Morgan know as soon as possible. February 6th, if you're planning to go to San Francisco for the NEA Retired Conference, there's a deadline there. Next Tuesday, online, is the GAE Retired Day at the Capitol. Linda's put together a great program, great agenda. We'll have legislators and Debbie Simons, chair of the TRS Board of Trustees, will be with us. We're invited to help with some membership blitzes. And again, reach out to our staff liaison, Felicia Lee, if you're interested. February 20th, if you want to if you want to submit an amendment for our GAE Retired Constitution and bylaws, there's the deadline. GAE Day at the Capitol is February 23rd. You're probably on overload at this point in time, but I do want to share with you and close us out that our next GAE Lunch Bunch on March 1st, we're going to talk about scams, what they are, how to avoid them, and Patrick Crabtree, our GAE retired secretary, will be leading that discussion. So please read, you're in the loop. It is 12:31. I'm feeling guilty. Thank you for joining us today, Renee. Thank you for being here and for everything you do. And I hope you all have a great day, and thank you for being a GAE/GAE retired member. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
You enjoyed it.
Thanks, y'all. I'm sorry I was so nervous.
You did a great job, Renee. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close this out here on Zoom, and everyone have a safe day also. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.